Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this online service of Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a loving, spirited, and ever more inclusive community. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, and whatever your faith tradition, you are welcome here. My name is Kate Lohr, and I'm the minister here at QUUF, and I'd like to begin this service by acknowledging that the land, water, and shorelines of this area are the traditional territory of the S'Klallam and Chimacum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our Indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain their homelands. In a moment, we'll light the chalice, but first, let's settle our minds and enter this moment with the ringing of our chime. It's good to be together. Now, join me in welcoming the Quimper Chorale as they lead us in the singing of This Old World.
This old world is full of sorrow, full of sickness, weak and sore. If you wrong your neighbor truly, love will come to you the more. It is said now, love thy neighbor, and we know well that is true. This custom of human labor, true for me as well as you.
Thank you, Quimper Chorale. Will you please now join Gary and me in our chalice lighting words? We light this chalice to find inner wisdom, compassion, faith in ourselves and in each other. May the spirit of life guide us in our time together today. Thank you, Gary. Poet Mary Oliver once wrote that you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. As we come together today, let us put away the pressures of the world that ask us to be perfect or to put on brave faces. Let's silence those voices that tell us we're not good enough, we're not lovable enough just as we are. For this is a community of compassion and welcoming. You do not have to do anything to earn the love here. You only have to bring the gift of your body, no matter how able, your seeking mind, no matter how busy, and your animal heart, no matter how broken. Bring all that you are, just as you are, into this circle of friends. We're so glad you're here. Now, Beau Ohlgren, who's our Director of Family Ministries, will now share our time for all ages. Beau?
Good morning, everyone. Today we are exploring perspective, or our different points of view. This is something we talk about frequently in RE, about how our experiences shape us and how we see things. And this book, called They All Saw a Cat, is a perfect example of how one thing, a cat, is viewed by all of those around them. This is They All Saw a Cat by Brendan Wenzel. The cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. And the child saw a cat. And the dog saw a cat. And the fox saw a cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. The cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. And the fish saw a cat. And the mouse saw the cat. And the bee saw the cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. The cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. And the bird saw a cat. And the flea saw a cat. And the snake saw a cat. And the skunk saw the cat. And the worm saw the cat. And the bat saw the cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. And a child, and a dog, and a fox, and a fish, and a mouse, and a bee, and a bird, and a flea, and a snake, and a skunk, and a worm, and a bat. The cat knew them all, and they all knew the cat. And the cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. Then it came to the water. And imagine what it saw. In life, just as when you read a story, you have to think what the point of view of the character that you're reading about is. Just because one thing is seen one way, or just because you're reading it one way, does not mean that that's the only way to see it. It is all about perspective.
Thank you, Beau. Wonderful as always. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gary Obermeyer. I'd like to acknowledge and welcome those of you who may be visiting us this morning. We're glad you're with us today and hope you'll take this opportunity to tell us your name and where you're from in the live chat. We also hope all of you will join us for our virtual coffee hour after this service. If you don't have the link, it will be posted in the chat at the end of the service. Lastly, if you find this service useful or inspirational, hopefully both, please share the link with your friends and family. We get great joy in widening the circle of our online community, so welcome everyone. And now it's time for the offering. Today we're raising money for the YMCA Summer Meals Program. I'd like to introduce Genevieve Barlow to you now. Genevieve is the Food Security Coordinator for the YMCA of Jefferson County and is here to tell us more about this program. Genevieve?
Our lives have changed more drastically than any of us could have imagined in the past year. For some, this will be the first time they've ever wondered where the next meal may be coming from, but for others, this has only compounded the very real hunger they face every single day. Through our summer meal program, our community collaborations over school closures, and our regular Thursday morning meal project, the YMCA has provided thousands upon thousands of free meals to children all across the county, a number 5 times higher than what we served the previous summer. We have endeavored to provide wholesome, nutritional food to the children in our community, working with local farms and bakeries to get the best there is out there to them, and providing nutritional security, not just food security. We've also expanded our outreach to include drop-off and pickup sites and home delivery to anyone who needs it. We have a dedicated small team of YMCA staff and generous volunteers who deliver food from Port Townsend all the way down to Little Wap every single week. But as summer break approaches, it's a time where many children struggle to know where the next meal may be coming from, and we're only going to increase our efforts. We ask that you give as generously as you are able, your donation making a very real, tangible difference to children in your community. Children and families who I had the pleasure and the privilege of getting to know over the recent spring break, and these are some of the quotes that they shared with me. We really appreciate your help and in the last year, and we couldn't have made it without you and all your dedication. If I don't drive and I'm on oxygen, we appreciate this very much. Recent domestic violence situation. My husband has Alzheimer's, and we really appreciate this delivery. Thank you. Student went through a growth spurt, needs clothes. Thank you. Thanks so much. Blessings. I know your congregation uses the phrase hope, and it's a value that you hold dear. So in this case, it's kind of pulling double duty. Not only will you be providing hope, but you will be actually helping other people eat. Thank you so much.
If you'd like to donate to this very worthy cause, you have 3 options. You can, as you may remember, you can text the amount you'd like to give to the number showing at the bottom of the screen. You can go to QUF.org and click on the word giving, or simply mail a check to QUF with YMCA written in the memo line. We will now gratefully receive your offering as we enjoy Sheila Harwood playing a piano version of This Old World.
It's now time to share our joys and sorrows, recognizing that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. We place this first stone in recognition of the ongoing death and destruction in Israel and Palestine. May people allow love to reach across the chasm and awaken the goodness in one another. And now in our congregation, we have no major joys or sorrows to share with you today, but we do have some birthdays to celebrate. So Maureen Piper and Susan Stone share the same birthday, and it was this past Monday, May 17th. And then Marnie Fiamengo had a birthday this past Thursday on May 20th. We light these candles in honor of the three of you and anyone else we may have missed. Happy birthday, Maureen, Susan, and Marnie. And now we place a final stone, holding in our hearts those birthdays I've just shared, but also thinking of the joys and sorrows among us that are unexpressed but of no less importance. I invite you now into a moment of silence. For so many reasons, we acknowledge love as a sacred power here at QUF. Not only does love help relax us in that struggle between self and other, love reminds us that our true being is found in that moment when the armor of our invulnerability and comfort is pierced, and we are touched in our tenderest heart with the knowledge of the deep connection that joins us all. Poet Jane Hirschfield delicately alludes to this reality in her poem, Meeting the Light Completely, which is our reading for today. Even the long-beloved was once an unrecognized stranger. Just so the chipped lip of a blue glazed cup, blown field of a yellow curtain, might also, flooding and falling, ruin your heart. A table painted with roses, an empty clothesline. Each time the found world surprises, that is its nature. And then what is said by all lovers, what fools we were not to have seen. Now, our special music today was created and shared with us by Playing for Change. I think you're gonna like it. It features Ringo Starr and composer Robbie Robertson with musicians across 5 continents. It's a great reminder of how easily we can all get along when the music plays.
What key is it in, Robbie? F demented.
Pulled into Nazareth, I was feeling about 8:30. Just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned and shook my hand. No was all he said. Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Put the load right on me.
I picked up my bed, went looking for a place to hide. When I saw Ohlgren, friend can stick around. Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Put the load on me. Go down, Miss Moses. There ain't nothing you can say. It's just so Luke, and Luke's waiting on Judgment Day. Well, Luke, my friend, what about young Annalie? Said, do me a favor, son, won't you stay and keep Annalie company? Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Put the load right on me. Crazy Chester followed me, and he caught me in the fog. He said, I will fix your act if you'll take Jack, my dog. I said, wait a minute, Chester, no, I'm a peaceful man. He said, that's okay, boy, won't you feed him when you can? Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Put the load right on me.
Catch a cannonball now to take me down the line. My bag is sinking low, and I do believe it's time to get back to Miss Fanny. You know she's the only one who sent me here with her regard for everyone. Yeah.
Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Right on me.
Oh yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it? And hopefully heart-opening, because that's what I want this service to do today, to open our hearts. And now for the sermon. Years ago, my husband, Gary, who is accompanying me today, my husband, Gary, and I were in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I was attending an Excellence in Ministry conference. While we were there, we visited the Salvador Dali Museum, which houses the largest collection of Dali's works outside of Europe. Now, perhaps you're familiar with Dali, the Spanish surrealist painter. One of his best-known works is his Persistence of Memory painting, with its stark landscape and melting pocket watches. We saw that painting while we were there, but also another famous one. Perhaps you'll recognize it. Inspired by the emerging art form of photomosaics and an article on facial recognition, Dali painted this image of Abraham Lincoln so that it transforms when you look at it up close. It's only then that you can see Dali's wife, Gala, naked and looking out of the window at the Mediterranean. Now, this explains the very long and precise title of this painting. It's called Gala Contemplating the Mediterranean Sea, which at a distance of 20 meters is transformed into a portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Homage to Rothko. Now, the way that Gary and I entered the exhibit provided a view of the nude Gala first. I chuckled when we turned the corner and beheld Gala's larger-than-life behind. We didn't recognize the famous piece of art until we began to back up and see it differently, as Dali had carefully intended. Up close, it's nearly impossible to see Lincoln. Yet 20 yards away, it's nearly impossible to make out Gala. What's the lesson in all of this? What we see is not always all that's there. Looking at life from different perspectives helps us see things that don't seem obvious at first glance. In a similar vein, do you remember the dress controversy of 2015? If you don't remember that controversy, here is the image. Now, some of you will predictably think this dress is black and blue. If that's you, please type black and blue into the chat. Now, for others, you predictably will see this dress is white and gold. If that's you, please type white and gold into the chat. Now, before anyone starts arguing with your chat mates or viewing partners, let me assure you that there is a biological reason why people see this image so differently. Adam Rodgers from Wired magazine says it's all about the way human eyes and brains have evolved to see color in a sunlit world. This is because the amount of sunlight at any given moment changes the color of things. In other words, the color of things will be one way at, say, high noon on a cloudless day, and quite another way at dusk on a stormy day. And what's amazing is that without a single conscious thought on our parts, our brains automatically compensate for the lighting of the moment and essentially subtracts that color from the real color of whatever we're viewing. Now, usually, that system works just fine. But this dress image is unique, and it hits some kind of perceptual boundary. So people's brains either discount the blue side of the light spectrum, in which case they end up seeing white and gold, or they discount the gold side of the light spectrum, in which case they end up seeing blue and black. Fun fact, yes? But also insightful, for it reminds us that all sensory information is filtered through our minds. Now, you may recall that philosopher John Locke made the same observation back in the 17th century. Locke argued that you can never truly interact with objects in and of themselves because, again, all sensory information is filtered, not just through the eyes, but through our experiences, biases, and blind spots, too. Why is this significant? Because we can't always trust our own lone experiences to truly see and understand life's complexities. We need each other to figure things out. Not sure you agree? Well, here's one more visual example. I'm going to show you a video now that you may have seen before. It is a classic in Modern Psychology 101 classes. As you watch the video, just follow the instructions written on the screen.
The monkey business illusion. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball. The correct answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half miss the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it, but did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. Here comes the gorilla, and there goes a player, and the curtain is changing from red to gold. When you're looking for a gorilla, you often miss other unexpected events. And that's the monkey business illusion. Learn more about this illusion and the original gorilla experiment at theinvisiblegorilla.com.
When I first viewed this video, I was shocked by the realization that I had failed to notice either the gorilla or the team members leaving the set. How about you? Well, as Jane Hirschfield said in our reading today, what fools we were not to have seen. Yes, when we're distracted, focusing on something else, or simply not expecting to see something, it affects what we see and what we do not see. But it doesn't end there. Even when we have access to facts and information, we always have substantial latitude on how to interpret it. And the reason why I'm bringing this all up is because in this era of QAnon, fake news, and conspiracy theories, we often struggle to understand how folks can believe some of the things they do. Forest fires in California being sparked by Jewish lasers in space. Members of the Democratic Party coordinating a child sex ring in the basement of a pizza parlor. Trump winning the election in a landslide victory. Or that the January 6th attack on the US Capitol was led by Antifa. Now, most of us love to believe that if people just had the right information, they'd change their minds and agree with our own understanding of reality. But it simply isn't true. That's because providing people with information that challenges their cherished beliefs is more likely to engender defensive avoidance than receptive processing. So, what are we supposed to do when we encounter someone with a radically different world view than our own, especially when their worldview threatens the health and safety of others? Well, I recommend that we start by remembering that each of us has different life experiences and therefore different perceptions of reality. For example, as a white, progressive, middle-class woman of the boomer generation, I have a radically different set of life experiences than, say, a Latino conservative working class male Gen Xer As such, you can expect that this man and I might have very different perceptions on what it takes to be a good leader, or a good parent, or a good citizen. Similarly, a poor black woman working on voting rights in the South would have a very different set of life experiences than, say, a wealthy white woman. And they would certainly face different degrees of danger while knocking on doors or speaking up at a town hall meeting. But they'd also have very different perceptions on how to effectively organize the black community or to elicit support from the white community. So there is no single truth in all of this. But by working together, cognizant of our different realities, our understanding of the truth expands. Now, a little closer to home. A white man who grew up in the 1930s and 40s is going to have very different perceptions on how best to make Unitarian Universalism more inclusive than, say, a brown woman who grew up in the 1980s and 90s, or a trans youth who is growing up now. Different life experiences, different perspectives, different pieces of the truth. So when we encounter someone with a very different viewpoint and we want to take them to task, we must ask ourselves, are we going to lead with our egos, that part of us that wants to be right and put them in their place? Or are we going to lead with our hearts, the part of us that values relationships over opinions? The point I'm making here is that if we truly want to reduce the political and ideological polarization happening in our communities, our country, and our denomination, arguing with others won't help us in the long run. So rather than coming up with the best author to support our own views, rather than weaponizing YouTube videos, we need to focus instead on what it will take to help people be as receptive as possible to information that conflicts with what they already believe. And that can't happen if we aren't in relationship with them. Sadly, there is no simple tricks to cutting through another's worldview or acceptance of misinformation or in a belief system contrary to our own. If there were, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in. So we must realize that if we truly want to influence those around us, we're going to have to provide examples of the conduct we want to see. As Michelle Obama so famously said, when they go low, go high. In other words, we ourselves have to be examples of open-heartedness and open-mindedness. We ourselves must demonstrate a sincere desire to understand another person. We ourselves must be willing to have a change in perspective and to feel empathy, even for those we might ordinarily consider our foes. This is exceedingly difficult to do, of course, and I fail at it regularly because I, like you, am human. Plus, I always place the highest priority on the rights, opinions, and feelings of people who come from historically marginalized communities. And some consider this a bias on my part. I justify this bias, of course, but don't we all justify our biases? So being successful at bridging ideological chasms isn't for spiritual lightweights. It requires both practice and a willingness to start over when we fail. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we must also tap into the power of love to accomplish all this. We must return again and again to the understanding that although we hold many ideas and experiences in common, none of us is experiencing the same world in the very same way. So let us practice some humility, acknowledging that each of us has blind spots. And let us remember that on our own, without love and respect and interactions with people living different realities than our own, we will only ever hold a partial truth. If we wish to continue growing as a wise, inclusive, and compassionate UU movement, we must be open to and vulnerable with each other. In this way, we are each supported in a respectful, responsible search for truth and freedom as we work for the common good. We are more the same than we are different, and we are held in and encouraged by this community's covenant to love, to share, and to serve. May this shared commitment be our work to do together. Peace, shalom, ashe, and amen. Now I invite you to join voices with Katie Taylor and Pat Rodgers for the singing of our closing song. It's entitled, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Please join voices. Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire and have not love, my words are in vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess and striving so my love profess, but not be given by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
That song is such a good reminder. Thank you, Katie and Pat. I want to remind you that Joseph Bignark is our guest speaker again next week. His sermon is entitled Graveyards, Graduations, and baseball blessings. And if anyone can connect those three distinct topics, it's our Joseph, so I hope you can make it. It's now time to extinguish our chalice. Please join Gary and me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thanks, Gary. After the service, I hope you'll join us for our virtual coffee hour. But before we go, let us turn our attention to Joni Mitchell singing the most fitting song I can imagine for this moment in history, Both Sides Now. Many thanks to Reprise for giving permission to share it on YouTube.
Flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that weave, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions. I recall, I really don't know clouds. Looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions. I recall, I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way. But now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every